Hello, everybody. This is our panel for PAX Online 2020, and it's time for us to get messy and rank some Dragon Age companions. We only have an hour to do this in, and so many companions, so we're not going to spend too long on introductions. I, of course, am Eric Van Allen, one of the co-hosts of Normandy FM, alongside Kenneth Shepard down there. Ken, how you doing today? Just a peace sign. That's it. That's all. That's how you feel. Fans of Normandy FM will know Josh Silverman, of course. He was on our most recent episode with covering Sarah, actually.
Yes. Good times.
I'm looking forward to some hot takes about that. And of course, also here for some hot takes, Natalie, the soulless, the egg lover, is here.
Oh, please don't shame me. I feel like Cersei walking down King's Landing and just being shamed.
Oh my lord. And rounding it out is future Normandy FM guest and currently just here to help us have an awesome panel, Ash Parrish. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited. Folks, just to give you a rundown of how the panel is going to work, we have 5 tiers if you're familiar with fighting games or other things. Tier-related things will be understandable to you. We have used clever little Dragon Age names to tell you about where these tiers are and how much love we give in them. At the bottom, we have the Deep Roads. Nobody wants to go to the Deep Roads. Deep Roads are a bad place. That's where the bad companions go. Right above it, the Fade. Hey, it's fun to hang out in the Fade sometimes. Not do really long side quests that take up like 3 hours in them. That's where go. We have the Hinterlands. Get out of the Hinterlands. Get what you need in the Hinterlands and get out of the Hinterlands. Above that, we have the Winter Palace, the ones that are always fun to hang out with. And at the top, we have Skyhold. Well, we could start it off with Alistair, who is your right-hand man, potential king, potential lover of Morrigan if you choose to do certain things in Dragon Age Origins. How are we feeling about Alistair on this podcast, on this panel?
You should be a Skyhold.
He's my sarcastic best friend. Like, he's Skyhold.
Boy. Like, for a white boy, he's good.
We're gonna say a lot.
We have so many feelings on the white boys here, but as far as they go, he's one of the good ones. I have no complaints.
Is that a unanimous Skyhold out of the gate already? Ken, do you have any opposition to a Skyhold for Alistair?
Not for me. I think it's like he's one of the best examples of the way the Dragon Age can really send a character on multiple journeys and be able to like kind of compensate for each possible variation of him.
I agree.
Yeah, he died in mine, and that was really shocking.
Easy. We're already on to Alistair up in Skyhold. Moving forward. I mean, do we really want to talk about Anders this early on the panel? Do we want to come back to
No,
Anders?
We're not.
Let's come back to Anders, please.
Yeah,
We'll
we
come
need to
back.
come back to Anders. He has to be...
We're
I
time.
need at least like 10 to 20 minutes into this to really decide. Because I need to know how much time I have for Anders.
All right.
But I
Well,
have lots of feelings on him. So.
Let's talk Aveline then. How do we feel about Aveline? For me, I think Aveline is a solid Winter Palace character.
I agree.
I love Aveline. Yeah, I love her, but definitely Winter Palace level. She's not perfect, but she's a good, solid character. Good interactions. Definitely. I mean, I was on your episode about her, so.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I mean, the only reason why she's not in Skyhold is because you can't romance her. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's.
There we go. BioWare, if you wanted this character higher, you got to let her be romanceable. Otherwise, Aveline heads to the Winter Palace.
Also,
do you feel
her.
about-
I was say her companion stuff with her getting married and stuff. I love that. So.
You're super sweet.
It's
super
very
sweet.
nice.
So awkward.
It is.
She's so awkward. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
How are we
Among Us
feeling
has not been
about Bethany?
She's the better of the siblings.
Yeah, she's the better of them, but they don't have much personality in my
I
I
was
bar
a low
low
bar.
there.
The only come back to Anders slightly. The only benefit to Anders in Dragon Age 2 is keeping her alive, but that's still not
No.
not high on my list. So I fade her personally.
Wow, a
Ooh,
fade
that's-
already. Ooh.
Actually, I don't
That's where I
entirely
lean to.
disagree with that.
Like again, she has merit. She's a good character. I was very sad in my first playthrough of Dragon Age 2 when unfortunate things happened, but I also don't think about her as a character very often outside of that.
You played a mage?
No. I played a rogue, so that's how you get Bethany.
Okay. Because
I-
you
I
mentioned
think
that you
I-
didn't really think of her. Like I played as a mage, and she like factors very little in like my Dragon Age sort of canon. 'Cause
Right.
she-
I
yeah.
played mostly rogues and warriors in Dragon Age 2, so
Same.
I've only had
Mm.
1 or 2 playthroughs that I dealt with Carver. So I've more
Oh,
dealt
you're
with that.
so lucky. Okay.
No.
I think for
feeling on-
me, Bethany
Oh.
is either Hinterlands or Fade. I can see either one of those.
Yeah.
I-
Not
Hinterlands.
high or
struggle
not
is-
low.
my struggle is with both her and Carver is that neither of them are actually really in their game because the game always seems to find a way to make sure that they're not around, regardless of the
Sure.
decisions
Yeah,
you
you're
make.
not really.
Um,
You're
But
not
they're
really.
Act 1, that's all.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I would say the Fade.
All right,
Yeah,
I
I'm
can agree
leaning
with
Fade.
Fade.
All right, we got to set a bar somewhere, and Bethany is the bar for the Fade.
She's inoffensive, but it's like okay.
yeah.
She's
She's
a
inoffensive
really
but barely
non-factor.
around.
Yeah.
well, let's keep the sibling train going. How do we feel about Carver? Because I want to throw this dude in the deep road.
Deep roads, deep roads, deep roads,
Absolutely deep road.
If Bethany is Faye, then Carver is Deep Roads.
deep roads, objectively.
Yeah, man, Carver is not as good of a sibling.
He's fucking
Oh.
insufferable.
Let's do a fun one here. How do we feel about the Mabari Warhound from Dragon Age Origins?
Bark
You-
Spawn.
Skyhold.
Okay.
Skyhold.
Skyhold.
The goodest of good boys.
I would.
Yeah.
I'll
All
accept
birds go
it.
to heaven. Duh.
Yeah. And Skyhold's the highest
Alright.
we get.
I can't argue with that. That's too good of a reasoning.
I
It's-
mean, also talking to Dog at every opportunity, leading to conversations with all the other companions, like interacting, are delightful in Origin. So.
They were much better than with Carver.
Yeah.
You know, Carver had like actual dialogue, so
I would rather talk to the Mabari Warhound than talk to Carver. That is an accurate statement. I'm kind of feeling this chronological thing that we've got going here. So what do you say we talk about? Oh, let's talk about Sten. Sten is an interesting character.
Is he-
Well,
He's theoretically interesting because up until Iron
Is he-
Bull, this is like the only Canary companion we have.
I know, and that's why he sucks.
Sten
Like,
is
oh,
interesting
nothing with that
because
role.
true. Sten is interesting because it introduced us to the Canary. I liked Sten in Dragon Age Origins. I did not like Sten after Dragon Age Origins when we met more Kunari, like the
Mhm.
Arashok and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sten sets a baseline for. We now have a baseline for every tier already. We're only 10 minutes into this panel, but we've already got a pretty good baseline for each of these tiers. So let's talk about Shale, who is a character that for me, I didn't click with Shale. I don't know. I
love
think
Shale.
Shale was in my party a couple times and
No.
I just didn't do anything for me.
Shale is, I love Shale because Shale, one, is a versatile character. You can gear her to pretty much play any role, but then she's just sarcastic and I don't know. I like one thing for me with Dragon Age, I love my sarcastic characters. So I don't know. I like Shale, and then I like the story, and I like for the most part, and then I like the inclusion, particularly when you take her throughout like the Deep Roads quests
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um,
a non-factor for me. Like with Eric, a lot of characters in Origins were non-factors for
That's
me.
very fair.
It, it was either in Origins. It was very much either they're a non-factor or I absolutely adore them. So I
That's
guess
fair. Yeah.
yeah.
I would say like Hinterlands or yeah, I would say maybe Hinterlands for me personally, but I can totally see Winter Palace. Like I liked her character in and I believe she shows up in Asunder, the novel.
Yes.
Yes, and I liked her a lot there.
She's good in Asunder.
yeah. So I'm okay with either one.
I would put her in Hinterlands personally. Winter Palace is just too high for me.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
Hinterlands is probably
leaning
the-
Hinterlands or Fate for
Yeah,
me, but if we have enough passion for it, I could see a Hinterlands.
I personally would go Winter Palace, but it seems like we're going to end up averaging out to the hinterlands, so I'm fine with that. I mean, we are.
This is a tier list by committee.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
I'll be making my own angry tier list as soon as this is over.
I mean, let's get really spicy. Let's talk about Liliana.
Liliana, I love Liliana.
Well, okay. An interesting question we can do is we can evaluate them kind of separately, like within the same conversation. Like, where do you put Origins Liliana versus Inquisition Liliana? Because Origins Liliana for me is in the hinterlands. Inquisition Liliana is Winter Palace.
Same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same here.
But I think in that sense, like, we got to look at it from where the characters are at in Dragon Age. And also, if I'm trying to average those characters together, Inquisition Liliana wins out for me, because I think without Origins, the growth there would not have been as noticeable, and I wouldn't have cared as much about the character.
Exactly, right? Like, her growth is
Right.
compelling because of the character that we know in Origins and how radically different she becomes.
Right.
So, analyzing this character under just, like, the universe as a whole and the present day, right before Dragon Age, or not right before Dragon Age 4, I wish, but before,
Yeah, right.
before pre-Dragon Age 4 era, just analyzing the character as a whole, I would put her in Winter Palace, personally.
If
All
go ahead.
My
To
struggle
be, Winter Palace is where she would want to be. Let's think about that.
that is
Yeah.
I guess like I have an association with one of my biggest issues of the franchise that is specifically tied to the way they handled her. So that makes me lean more towards Hinterlands. Because ultimately she like was a non-factor for me in Origins, but I did go to love her in Inquisition. But not to clarify, I did not murder Liliana.
I was gonna
That is
say,
still,
this
like, the
sounds
first-
like
no,
This is a confession? Like-
Yeah, right?
No, that's just kind of where I sit with her.
We're talking about Liliana in Inquisition is just, there's more depth to her. A lot of the characters in Origins can be one note, is what I felt like. And I feel like she was one note in Origins. She had one shtick.
That's fair.
And in Inquisition, they gave her a lot more to work with. But she was my favorite character originally when I first played through the game. And I really love her development in Inquisition. So for me personally, it's Winter Palace.
I think Winter Palace sounds like it. If anyone
All right.
has objections, speak now. Otherwise,
I said my piece already.
Liliana gets the Winter Palace. All right, we want to talk about characters that span the games. The one that just came up was Morrigan. Do we want to talk about Morrigan right now?
Yeah.
We
Oh, wait.
I think Morrigan's a skyhold for me. I think Morrigan's
She's
a
a
top
skyhold
tier
for me.
character.
Rivals for me. She has one line that still makes me cry all these years later, which is when she reunites with, or she doesn't really reunite, but when she sees Flemeth in Inquisition, and she tells her, "Do whatever you wish, take over my body now, if you must, but Kieran will be free of your clutches." And that line that says, "I am many things, but I will not be the mother you were to me," still gets me so much. Just still gets me. I personally a big sucker for women who become mothers or women who start off stories as mothers. But in general, I just think she's also exemplary of what Dragon Age can achieve when it cares a lot about its characters more so than the world, and it puts her development at the forefront. I think she's grown so much, and I think her growth is compelling and extremely interesting to watch unfold in Inquisition without sacrificing the sarcastic, like, sort of sometimes bitch character in Origins that she is, that she has always, like, her own agenda. She always has something, she's very independent, but that isn't mutually exclusive with, like, the motherhood that, the way that motherhood is involved in her role in Inquisition. And just, I just think she's so wonderful. I love her, and I want to put her in Skyhold. I really love Morgan.
I mean, I was just going to say Claudia Black is one of my favorite actors who plays
great.
Morgan. Her
Yeah.
voice, like that alone. But Morgan is more or less the character of Dragon Age. Like, it's the character everyone knows of Dragon Age. I feel like, for the most part, I think it's the character associated with, and I agree with what Natalie said. So for me, it's just Skyhold. I didn't even use Morgan that much in Origins, and I still just love the character.
I used her all the time. What's that? Does anyone remember exactly that line about men that she has in Origins? It's gone viral so many times. I feel like she is so many people's, especially women's, first introductions to Dragon Age, especially Origins. Because I know that I saw that like just sat on Tumblr one day or something. I was like, oh, I want to play that game. She hit some points. She made some points.
There's a few quotes I found related to men, so I'm not honestly sure which one it is.
And that makes her even more iconic.
Yeah.
If she has more than one, like, come on now.
Yeah.
Is there any opposition to Sky holding Morgan?
Okay, so I would not personally put her in Skyhold. For me, she kind of grates on me. I liked her in Origins a lot. She was a great character in Origins a lot. I was not particularly fond of what you have to do in Origins with her, with Alistair, especially if you're a female warrior.
Yeah.
That's a little problematic for me. But because basically you have to convince Alistair to do it, and it's definitely not something that he wants to do. And it's the choice of death or violate his boundaries. And whatever ends up happening, you violate his boundaries. But whatever, I can get past that, I guess. The other point of contention I have with her is that she has a lot of conflict with Vivienne, and Vivienne is my absolute favorite character in this whole thing. And that kind of also rubs me the wrong way, which is why I would, tend to put her in the Winter Palace versus Skyhold. But I understand that she is kind of like that iconic character, and the bitch can dress. Like dress that she wears in Inquisition is like on point. It's like, all right,
yep,
have that. So that's I'm not gonna hold you to put her in the Winter Palace. I understand that I am overruled here, but that's just my feelings.
I was going to say, I found the quote, I think, by the way. It's, men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive.
Yeah.
No,
All
that's...
that. All that.
Ken, any opposition here, or is it Skyhold for Morgan? All right. I think Morgan's the Skyhold then by majority.
We're going chronological, right? I want to talk about Vivienne already since Ash brought her up.
Well, let's talk about some less exciting characters first, like Wynn. Who here's jazzed to talk about Wynn?
I like Wynn.
Because she was Team Mom, who had very much needed a mom in Origin. Like, you needed a mom in Origin. That definitely fulfilled that role. At the same time, like, I'm not particularly crazy about her. I would stick her in probably the Fae, honestly. She's kind of a bitch, too.
Yes.
Very
She's
judgy.
a bit of a stuck-up character. Very very judgy.
I liked her, though. I liked her sass. I liked her in Asunder. The way that she died was pretty touching.
I forgot about
but
that.
I'm not particularly super attached to her, just like I am not with most Origin characters in general. So
I didn't like her because she was like really judgy of whoever I romance in that game, which is like.
But that she was looking out for you.
I like that.
Not,
honestly,
that person
she
wasn't
did
good
it from a
for
place
you.
of looking out for you instead of just being like, oh, well, you're fucking Zavran. Like, what?
I mean, honestly, like the only person there that you could be romancing that she like maybe has less reason to be judgy of is Alistair. The rest of them, they're very chaotic. Like, there's some concern to be had there, I think.
Yeah, by being like, what the fuck are you fucking Zavran? And I'm like, he's the only
one I can.
All right, so how are we? I have heard the Fade put forth. Do we have any desire to put Wynn higher than the Fade?
Not really.
No.
She's fine there.
I could argue for Hinterlands, but I think Fade is fine. I don't want to argue for it. So.
Right, Wynn into the Fade you go.
I don't have the motivation.
That's the thing is like I'm thinking to myself, I could argue for it. I don't want to put the effort in. Ergo, that's clear that she doesn't belong there.
If the character is compelling enough for you, you will want to make that
exactly.
effort.
Well, then how do we feel about Zevran?
Hinterlands.
I don't even have something to say.
I don't even.
He's the lowest part of the Hinterlands for me. Like, he just barely ekes his way in there.
I'm just an alt fucker, so I have like a mandate to fuck.
Yeah, you are, aren't you?
Yeah, in every single game. That is my agenda. So yes, it is. So like, he was my only option, really. Like, I never considered anyone else, but I was like, oh, this is like, having, I don't know, like a McDonald's like burger when I could, go
Literally.
somewhere else really nice. And so,
Mm.
but I could go to McDonald's every now and then. Like I like the fries there, love the chicken nuggets, so hinterlands for me.
I'm not even arguing at this point. I'm good. Like that's perfect.
Zebra is McDonald's.
McDonald's for elf lovers. Okay, that's
I would put him deep roads,
McDonald's
but I
more
don't care
than
enough to fight.
Burger King though, because I have shit taste. So like I don't know.
I don't eat fast food.
This- these are gray areas here in Dragon Age. So in conclusion, I put hinterlands.
Yeah, it's fine by me.
Okay.
Big.
Hinterlands.
Fine.
How do we feel about Ogren? Ogren? I've always said it different ways.
Who gives a shit?
Deep roads.
Exactly. But I think
He's funny though. I think
I do-
but the merit that he's funny, he should be saved from the deep roads and just put in the fade.
yes.
I would agree.
Okay.
Like when there's a charm to them, but you can only take them in like a dose.
Yeah.
And that.
Start knocking through the also ran of the Dragon Age companions, aka Awakenings characters. How do we feel about? God, we had to look this up. Sigrun.
No, Sigrun, I knew that one from memory. The other one we had to look up.
Yes.
Can't tell you why I knew that from memory, but
The lovable Legion of the Dead dwarf what loves killing darkspawn.
so Sigrun for me is, I think, one of the better of the Awakening characters.
Which isn't a high bar.
No,
So do Fade?
The Fade.
The
Fade. Let's just go with Fade just to move on.
Only because the Deep Roads is really reserved for characters that we're going to be throwing way down. So,
So on to that character.
oh no, not yet. First, let's talk about Valana, the other.
That's what I meant.
Also ran. Yeah. Well, I mean, so Valana was kind of interesting to start, what with her being this kind of resistance character who was fighting against the Darkspawn and the Wardens and all that, and then her plotline just kind of gets lost in everything, and I don't even remember really how it resolves or what. She has a sister that's working with the Architect, I believe.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
Who I almost called Peripheus just now.
Yeah.
There-
I mean, look,
To show you the impact Awakening had on.
I like the Architect. That's what actually I think part of what I like about Awakening is that Darkspawn storyline. But again, I don't remember it. So
now, if we
didn't
can
go anywhere.
romance the Architect, now we're talking, all right?
Exactly. The only thing I remember about the Architect is all the fan art that came out about Corypheus and the Architect. That's
yes.
Oh. Oh.
Valid.
Yeah, that is a pairing.
This is a new internet hole I did not know existed that I know what I will be doing after this panel ends.
Forget them in the Fade. That's
Yeah. I mean, that's what
There
they
you go.
yeah.
Poetic.
They're not truly terrible.
Not even dislikable enough to be thrust into the deep roads.
Yep.
Nathaniel Howe. How do we feel about Nathaniel?
Go to hell. No.
I
Yeah,
don't feel
absolutely.
anything about Nathaniel.
I am very happy throwing Nathaniel Howe down into the Fade.
Yeah, my first. Yeah, I was say go with the Fae. My first playthrough of Dragon Age Origins was Human Noble, so the Hows were like obviously
Persona
So-
non grata.
exactly. So I enjoyed his semi-redemption in Awakening, but he's Fade.
Guess at this point we can move on to Dragon Age 2, it looks like. And we can start by talking about a character that was also in Origins and in Dragon Age 2. We can talk about Isabella. How we feeling about our favorite pirate gal?
Winter Palace.
Winter
Absolutely. Winter Palace.
Winter Palace.
Personal list, I might put her as high as Skyhold, but Isabella is Winter Palace. I want to put her Skyhold purely because of her friendship, banter, rivalry with Aveline, kind of thing, mixed with my love of her as a character.
I feel like she was really mean. Oh no, Aveline was really mean to her. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I called her like all kinds of mean things.
She would slut shame her a
Oh
lot.
yeah, but by the end, that's the thing is by the end it turned into a rivalry friendship thing. Like again, we're talking about a story that spans 7 years.
Yeah.
So they start off absolutely hating each other and insulting each other, saying some truly reprehensible stuff to each other. But it turns into like almost, it's not necessarily make it good, but pet names almost.
I love Isabella.
Right.
She's funny. She's wonderful. She has a gold heart. I love a woman of color who like has her sexuality and like just like emphasizes it and also discusses like agency and sexuality.
She's
I adore
open.
her.
I love it.
Mm.
Also, I'm a sucker for pirates. Personally.
Isabella, Winter Palace here. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Keeping it Dragon Age 2, but not getting into that just yet. Oh, you know what? We skipped an Awakening character.
We did.
Did we?
Yeah, we skipped Justice.
Oh Jesus.
Oh,
Okay.
come on.
No.
How do we
got
feel
a
about good old
We gotta talk
Justice?
about this pretty
We
good.
don't put him
We
in
gotta
the
talk
fate
about
where he
this
In
belongs.
the Fane. We didn't even
He
remember
does
him.
belong in the Fade. He's
And he's
happy
a
in the
spirit.
Fade.
Yeah, that's where he belongs.
How do we feel about Sebastian in here?
Deep
Fade.
roads. Deep roads.
I
Whoa,
think Sebastian
Hold on.
sucks.
You got me. Like,
Okay,
okay.
okay.
Talk about
Okay.
a dude.
Ken is dying to talk about Sebastian.
Talk about a dude who doesn't have any reason to actually be there when his companion quests don't even involve him. Like, the whole thing... Okay, the first one he has in Act 1, he's not even there for. You just do a thing for him, and then you come back and let him know that it's done. And then the third one, in Act 3, he's there and he witnesses you talking to Liliana about stuff. Nothing really to do with him. Homeboy is, like, there as set dressing. He is a prop in his own story. Even, like, okay, granted, he has, like, following the actual story that he has throughout the game, he does have that decent moment at the end where he does, like, give you that ultimatum.
But that ultimatum is why I think he sucks. Because he's just like this character who just shows up because he's yelling at his church mom because he wants to go kill people and God says he can't. And then he's like, why don't you kill them for me? And you do it. And then you do that a couple more times. And then at the very end, he's really mad at Anders. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to raise an entire city if you don't murder Anders right now. And I'm like, dude, you are just
You're the
worst person. Like, yeah, he would be terrible at parties. Like, somebody would spill a drink and he'd be like, I'm going to raise this city to the ground if you don't kick that person out of this party. Like, I don't want Sebastian around at all. I think he's Deep Roads for me. I don't like Sebastian.
Not even
I'm good with Deep Roads.
He's awful. I like his eyes. That's the nicest thing I can say about him. Like,
Well, let's talk about a good character then. Let's talk about Fenris. Let's talk about who I think just from generally knowing people in this call is a strong Skyhold contender. I can see Natalie on webcam right now just reacting in real time to thinking about
The elf fucker has logged on.
The elf fucker.
what did we put an age rating on this panel again?
they knew what they were getting into.
Okay.
Hey, kids,
Well,
let's talk about Fenris.
I was on the Normandy FM Fenris episode. So like, or like the quest where you like culminate the romance and that he breaks up with you and it's so tragic and so beautiful. I'm an elf fucker. I love tragic sad boys. I think he's gorgeous. His sword big, just like his dick big. Yeah. Anyway, Skyhold, y'all. If we can get into my full Fenris thought, check out the Normandy FM episode. But that's my piece.
If anyone has ever wondered why we've had Nat on the podcast so many times, we no longer need explanation. We just play that clip back.
That clip is, that.
Also, Gideon Emery.
Mm-hmm.
His voice.
But I was predetermined to not like Fenris because I typically like the sad boy character, which is weird because I love the movie like The Crow, and he's literally like the Crow in Dragon Age is kind of his damn character. But is very reminiscent. But like I, over my first playthrough, very angrily at myself, started liking him, and I've accidentally almost romanced him many times because I've just gone along those dialogue trees and I'm like, no, wait, nope, I want this person on this playthrough. What am I doing?
So how do you really feel about him? Like over the years, have you felt more positively on him, or do you feel like he's still not?
I want more of his story. I want to read stuff about him. I want more stuff. I mean, I'm obsessed with the idea of going to Tevinter since Dragon Age Origins, and he's a Tevinter-based character. So, like, I want more of him. Bare minimum, Winter Palace. I could argue for Skyhold.
Did you read Blue Wraith?
I have all the comics waiting.
Yeah, I have them, but I haven't read them. But I know that he's there. I do remember that people didn't really like the changes made to his character, so I'm super interested to know what you think. But
we could talk about it once we both read. Yeah, right now I'm reading Tevinter Nights, so.
Tevinter Nights. Me and Kenneth read that. He will be probably mentioning it.
Fenris for me. I'm also like I'm big on like, the sad boy tragic romance. I was in 2011. I've kind of cooled on him just because I don't really care for like the kind of abusive undertone of the romance, especially on the rivalry side.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's a good story. I don't know if it's one that I like to experience anymore. But I think in terms of like how well it is written and how well it is executed, I'm willing to put him on Skyhold.
I'm willing to put him in Skyhold. He's one of those characters that grew on me after Dragon Age 2. Like, the fandom did a lot to rehabilitate him in my eyes because I really wasn't particularly good on Fenris playing Dragon Age 2. I didn't like any of the choices. Like, he was the least bad romance option, honestly, for me.
Yeah.
But the fandom did a lot to rehabilitate him for me. So
there's so much beauty and nuance. Like, I think the writing is there for that nuance to be found, but the ways in which the fandom has really explored his character and just unearthed all the nuance in him and all his complexities, I think is like a really good example of when the Dragon Age fandom can be good. When it can be bad is when they're saying that Anders isn't a terrorist because he heals people and likes cats, but we're going to get into that.
Anders is literally in every single discussion of every character.
You can't talk Dragon Age without talking Anders.
We can't talk Dragon Age without Anders.
But before we talk about Anders, we should probably talk about Meryl. Meryl's pretty high up there for me, and I think I'm the outlier here on that. I like her character a lot because I think she provides an interesting contrast to the mage stories we usually get. Like, usually mage stories are all like, I'm thinking about doing blood magic or not doing blood magic. How should I do or not do the blood magic? I think her story was interesting just because it shows the actual struggles that a mage has with pride and power and what they want to achieve and kind of wrestling with whether it's something that you're achieving for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. And also kind of, I think, what becomes a greater struggle in Inquisition and hopefully 4, which is an elven character who has to decide between whether they feel ties to Dalish culture or to like the modern city elves and the alienage and stuff like that. I think you can see kind of the starting points of that in Meryl. But she's also kind of a flawed character in some ways, especially when you go into her, not even her rivalry romance, but her friendship romance is really unsettling. It's very much like, I'm going to enable all the bad things that you do and tell you that you're perfect, even when you're things that are causing everyone pain and harm. So I think Meryl for me is probably personally a Skyhold, but I see more of a Winter Palace in this discussion, but I don't know how y'all feel.
Winter Palace is putting it high for me.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I
overshot it.
I would Winter Palace her, but I think for personal reasons, Winter Palace, because I, much like Fenris, did not like the character, grew on me over playthroughs kind of thing. But there are a lot of flaws with the character, and a lot of flaws. Some of this, stuff you mentioned, Eric, about how like the romance and stuff is written and things like that, and the enabling aspect. Hinterlands is where I would put her because I really like her, but she's problematic.
That is the entirety of Dragon Age 2. Like, I like
True.
them.
I like them, but they're problematic. Those problematic vibes, I love them. No, but I mean, for her, I would also put her in Hinterlands. I think she is an interesting character in concept more than in execution. So I really like the idea of this, especially this female character that is doing something that is considered morally reprehensible, but she also has a very naive and innocent personality. Like, she is the type of woman that is stereotyped as delicate and like dainty and sort of even incapable of doing the things that she does. I also think, like you said, she's a really interesting sort of mage and exploration of blood magic. And execution, though, I don't think she's sort of like you said, she is problematic in a lot of ways, and I think we could have avoided those in like an alternate world where the writing didn't delve into those problematic sort of tropes. But in sort of the concepts, I do like her, and yeah, so I would put her in the hinterlands, I would say.
A lot of good ideas, weird execution on a lot of fronts. That
Dragon Age 2.
Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, just in a nutshell.
I think a lot
right?
of what we've done with these Dragon Age 2 characters really sums up our feelings about Dragon Age 2. Like, they're great, but they're actually really problematic, which I think is the point. So,
Yeah.
How do we feel about Varric? I mean, do we want to talk Varric now, or want to talk Varric in Inquisition?
I mean, let's just talk Varric over. We can talk him now and just talk him overall.
Yeah. Just overall.
I think Varric in 2 is not high.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Varric in 2 does not stand out to me. And he really becomes more of a character in Inquisition when he has kind of more beats that are about him. And I think the stuff they do with his ties to Red Lyrium and his brother and stuff are very interesting in Inquisition, whereas in 2, it's like you get kind of brief moments of him as a character, but he mostly just serves like a narrative storytelling purpose more than a companion purpose in 2.
Yeah, and we talked about it on the show that because Varric can't leave, because he always has to be there at the end to be telling the story, it feels like he does not evolve much through 2 at all, because like he literally is not allowed to. Right at the Inquisition, there like once he's given kind of like the freedom to do something after what is going on, he is able to like more, naturally evolve into something that is more than just the person that's being interrogated in the Hawk Estate by Cassandra.
So Ash, any reason why you would want to put Varric, like what tier would you put Varric in?
I would put him in Skyhold.
In Skyhold? All the way up to Skyhold?
All the way up there.
I mean, the weird thing is that even in spite of my feelings about Varric as a character, I still think he's like extremely critical to Dragon Age as a whole, so I could see it.
He
I'd
went
put Winter Palace.
How do the rest of us feel? Ken, how are you feeling about Varric?
I'm Winter Palace, but could be persuaded to Skyhold.
Nat?
Winter Palace is a stretch for me, I was going to say.
Oh, really?
I would say Winter Palace or Hinterlands for me, yeah.
How do we feel about Winter Palace for Varric? We got to talk about some Inquisition characters. And we also need to talk about Anders. Let's talk about Anders. Deep Roads.
Is that really what we're going to land on?
Anders is difficult because I hate him. He is my most hated character, but I think he's a good character. Like, I think he's a well-written, compelling character.
Absolutely.
Like, the fact that we have been inching towards talking about him since the beginning of this panel, I think displays that pretty clearly. But I think he's an essential character to this universe. Like, he shapes it utterly, whether you like him or love him. I fucking hate him. So I stopped him at the end of Dragon Age 2, and I didn't feel bad about it. But
the fact that Anders starts more or less as Awakening's answer to Alistair, he's an Alistair clone. He's the sarcastic best friend character, pretty much, which is how I preferred him. And then in 2, he's obviously a completely and utterly different character almost. But the thing is, at first I was angry about that in 2 because I liked the clone of Alistair thing. But then I was like, oh, this is not like them just being like, hey, we just want to write him differently. It actually made sense with the story, with him bonding with Justice, who's essentially a spirit of vengeance at that point, and stuff like that, kind of thing. So, like, Anders, I think, is one of the better written characters in the entire series, but I also would just chop his head off at the first opportunity.
I just have a lot of issues with the way that the fandom treats him, I
Yes.
think.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for me, like, if Anders was not white, we would not be discussing, even now in 2020, whether he's a terrorist. Like he would just be, and we would be talking about the nuances behind that. But even still in 2020, there are still predominantly white people being like, oh, well, he healed people and he likes cats. So like, oh, my cat boy, like, oh, he's not a terrorist. Oh,
He's a terrorist.
He's a terrorist. I don't think he was right. The moment that he decided to blow up the chantry and kill innocent people, as fucked up as a chantry is, you fucked up the mage activist cause for the rest of us.
Yep.
And I don't vibe with that. That's part of why I killed him.
Like cool murder, cool motive, but still murder the character.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't put him in the deep roast, but I wouldn't put him higher than the Fade. Fade.
Ken, tier. Fade? Natalie?
Fade.
Deep roads, but okay, I'm outruled here.
Deep roads.
I'm
I'm
Deep
with
Roads.
Ash.
That's
No.
All
Deep
right,
Road.
he goes to deep roads.
All right.
All right, let's
Because on a personal level, Deep Roads, in terms of writing, hinterlands, but he's not forgettable enough to put in the Fade, so just Deep Roads him.
Yeah.
let's keep this train going. Lightning round on Cole. What do we think of Cole here?
Hinterland.
Great in Hunt Asunder, otherwise no. Hinterland.
Yes.
Hinterland?
Great in Asunder, which not everyone or most people will read.
All right.
So,
Hinterlands.
Hinterlands.
How do we feel about Blackwall?
Winter Palace.
Oh, Hinterland.
The Fade.
Whoa.
Oh, we're all over
I
the
see
place.
the
on this
difference,
one.
just so you know. Hinterland.
Hinterlands. Josh, how do you feel about Blackwall?
Don't give a shit.
That's
Fade-
where I am.
Fade or the
Where
Hinterlands
the
for me.
Hinterlands is.
Yep.
Let's keep it going. Cullen, how do we feel about Cullen?
Skyhope.
Woo!
Fade.
But I will acquiesce to Winter Palace because I understand he's extremely problematic if you are a mage.
I am a mage in every single game. For me, he's the Fade.
Oh.
Ooh.
You are gonna have to fight.
We hate each other's favorite white boy. It's, I think we should find solidarity in that, Ash.
Fair enough.
But I would put him in the Fade, but I respect Ash predominantly, especially in this opinion. I understand what it's like to love a problematic white boy in Dragon Age, so it's a curse. It's such a fucking curse.
We're gonna
Okay,
be rebellious.
Especially when you're not white. You're like, why the fuck am I doing this? But I mean, so I'm okay with the Hinterlands.
Ken, Josh, how are we feeling?
I like Cullen enough. I like some of his storylines, like the addiction storyline stuff with like the Templar stuff, but I probably would put him in Hinterlands personally.
Ooh, this is
Do we have time to listen to Ash talk about why she loves Colin, or it's like real low on time?
okay. So
Tell me about Cullen, yeah.
if we want to talk about
Why do you love a problematic white boy? Why this one and not the other one?
if we want to talk about arcs and growth, like
Mm.
where you find him like cowering in like fear in the Chantry Circle from what he grows and becomes, like the amount of abuse this guy has taken. Come on now. On top of battling addiction, on top of that. So all of his friends die in the circle. You save his life. And then in Dragon Age 2, he has to work with, what's her face?
Meredith?
Meredith. He has to work under Meredith and do things he probably really didn't want to do. But, went along with it. He has this warped, fucked up idea of mages because of what he went through in the Chantry Circle. Oh, and getting up to the point where you meet him in Inquisition, where he's struggling with this addiction and he's struggling with how he feels with mages. And depending on, who you are, I think it's a worse romance if you are a mage because it's extremely problematic there. But I think a mage inquisitor really brings him around from, we can't treat mages like people because they're not people to, you know what, that was kind of fucked up of me. I don't think he actually says that was kind of fucked up of me, which would do much further for his character. But I think if we're talking about characters in terms of growth, like he has one of the better, bigger growth arcs of all the characters in the series. And he's really cute. So there's that.
It doesn't hurt.
I think you're winning over a bit.
I see. I have been won over, I think. Winter Palace for me.
We want to go Winter Palace?
I could go for Winter.
I
Okay,
could go
I'll
for
agree.
Winter. And we acknowledge that he is Skyhold in Ash's heart forever.
Yes.
How do we feel about Cassandra?
Skyhold.
Skyhold.
Hinterlands.
Cassandra
Winter
is
Palace.
for me personally, but Winter Palace, if I'm being democratic about this.
Yeah.
Skyhold or Winter Palace is the lowest I'm willing to go. but
I love Cassandra Winter Palace.
I adore her. She is one of my absolute favorite characters.
Ken, how are you feeling down there?
Skyhold on her forever.
I will acquiesce to the desire to move her lower and leave her in the Winter Palace, but she will remain up there. Let's talk about Iron Bull. Iron Bull's a solid Skyhold for me.
He's a great character. He's well acted. His story arc is almost perfect. Like you in every sense, and he's a great like actual mechanical character to have. Like in every sense that he is a character, he is damn near perfection. He should be in Skyhold.
Ken, what about you?
I'm Winter Palace. I agree with everything you said, but I also don't like his and Dorian's relationship. If you're not romance in either, has
You don't like the
undertones that I'm
moves
not
on
down
your
with.
guy? Oh, okay.
No,
I mean,
okay.
he never gets a
That was-
chance over here. But there's like weird undertones about like
For others.
Dorian's possible alcoholism that gets factored
Oh,
in
okay.
that I'm not huge on, and like Iron Bull maybe taking advantage. But that's not my reality. I don't have to see that. I just have to know that other people saw it in their other playthroughs. But so that puts him at Winter Palace for me.
Winter Palace seems like a good one if we have enough detractors that want to pull it down. What about Josie? I gotta be honest, I think I'm a hinterlands for Josie.
I'll put her in Winter Palace though, for me. I love Josie.
I could go Hinterlands or Winter Palace. I don't have a strong enough opinion. I like her enough, but yeah, I like her, but meh.
I think
Kenneth, you're gonna be
I'm
the
Winter Palace. I think.
tiebreaker.
you're Winter Palace. All right, that's good enough. I can see it. Sarah, how are we feeling about Sarah? Maybe a little bit contentious in here about Sarah. I like Sarah a lot. I think I'm enjoying her character a lot more the second time around. Just the way that she is like this rebel who hates everything and all the nobles and stuff like that. I'm really vibing with all of that, but I know she has been a contentious character in the past.
I don't like her at all. I'm bothered by her narrative about internalized racism. I think it's compelling, but I don't know if it was executed in a way that I personally find compelling. So I didn't really like it. Just like the whole like I'm not like other elves kind of thing really bothers me. At one point she says like I don't like complicated, even though I do think she is a complicated character, ironically, which I don't know. I feel like the writing for her was kind of all over the place.
I really like Sarah, but I think she actually falls into the Dragon Age 2 issue of I like her, but she's a complicated character, or not. She's problematic is actually the word I was looking for there.
Right.
So, I personally might put her in Winter Palace, but I think Hinterlands.
Hinterlands for me.
Hinterlands.
Yeah.
All right.
I
That's
would have liked her a lot as a character in an alternate world. I feel.
Dorian. Let's talk about Dorian.
Skyhold.
Skyhold.
Easy.
My own.
Is
No,
there
it's just
any
easy.
question?
No.
It's not in a
Of course not.
question.
He's beautiful in perfection and love the character.
Ken loves this
Literally
one.
the best
Cry
thing about
with
the entire
how wonderful
franchise.
he is.
He kind of is though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of is.
not even exaggerating.
No,
Right.
not even.
Vivienne. How we feel about Vivienne in here?
He should be in
She makes
Skyhold.
me deeply uncomfortable.
Skyhold.
Wait, what was that, Ken?
She makes
Deeply
me deeply
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable to talk to in like a way that no Dragon Age character has ever done. Which I think, there's an argument to be made that she is like exceptionally well written because of that. But
Uncomfortable in what way?
just
Yeah,
like, I play mage characters in all these games, and
Me too.
the game sets this narrative of like mages need to break out of the circle, and you got this character who from the mage perspective is like saying, oh, but this is why we should still be set up in the way that we used to be. And the granted, like she doesn't necessarily ascribe to everything that is currently in the circle, but it's just like a weirdly deeply uncomfortable thing to like be a mage character, listening to a mage character say these things, like going against all this that various characters over the series have been working against and trying to bring about change. It's like we never jive. Like by the time we get to Skyhold, she can't stand me, and I always get her like it's not like a crisis point because she never leaves, but like I always get the thing where she moves my furniture around just to see how I'll react, and I'm like, ugh.
She's so good. I think she is ambitious. That's one of her defining characters traits, and I adore that in a female character. She's learned how to survive the game. She knows what it's like to be oppressed, and I think that's where a lot of her ideas come from, not from a place of like wanting to oppress others, but of knowing just how things work and being very pragmatic. She knows what it's like to be powerless, and so I think she has good ideas about how to wield power responsibly. I think she's super complex. She never really shows all her cards, but she's also like she's chilly on the outside. But I mean, if you become friends with her, I find her friendship almost as rewarding as Dorian's for me. I just really loved being her best friend. I think she makes some just like really interesting points that I wish we had more time to go over in detail, but I adore Vivian. I don't think she's the worst Divine Victoria at all. And she is one of my absolute favorite characters in the series. So for me, she's Skyhold.
She's Skyhold. Like you have to think about what Natalie said about the fact that she's pragmatic. Like mages are walking bombs. The one thing that I get upset about with the fandom so much is that they really like to equate this whole mage rights thing with, contemporary civil rights. And, yeah, that tracks, but we can't really do that because, Black people and people of color in real life are not walking around like walking bombs. Mages are. So we have to, it doesn't apply because, you want to apply it like, oh yeah, they should be free and they should be able to do whatever they want. And yes, I agree with that to a degree, but they also are not inherently dangerous. Like
race isn't a biological thing, but magic is, and the potential to do blood magic and ruin other people's livelihoods is. So I think that argument, like I'm so glad you touched on it because I wanted to make sure we touched on it. Like that argument just falls immediately apart when you take into account that race isn't biological, but magic is. Like these people have a biological propensity in them to have magical powers. Like race is not something that doesn't makes us inherently more dangerous or something.
Right. So there has to be something in place to make sure that these mages, maybe not as bad as they've been in like Kirkwall Circle or the Circle Tower, but to make sure that they are in control all the times and can be controlled if something should, bad happen. And it's not been going the best way, so far, but because, she is a mage, she is the best one that can potentially say like, yeah, I agree that we should be better treated than what we are, but we all can't just be running around all over the place because, there are those malefactors that can, blow shit up if they get possessed by a demon or decide they want to go blood magic crazy. So that is why, she is one of my favorite characters. Plus, the way that she comes in, the way that you're introduced to her, like she's walking down these steps with like her heels clicking and like looking as badass as she is, like, come on, when has your fave ever? Like, she is almost perfect.
She is perfection. I truly think she is. And I really don't agree when people say that she's absolutely the worst Divine Victoria. I don't think there's a best Divine Victoria, but I don't think she's the worst by absolutely any means. I don't even say compared to like soft and Liliana or hardened Liliana, just like Liliana in general. I think Vivian is either my favorite Divine Victoria or second place.
My wrapping thoughts were like the fact that she makes me uncomfortable in the way that she does is like, a testament to the fact that she is as well executed as she is, and that she, taps into areas and discussions in that world that haven't been like perspectives that have not been brought up really.
So you want to talk about uncomfortable characters that compel us?
It's time.
I think after all we've talked about, I kind of want to put Solus in Skyhold.
Solus is Skyhold for me without a thought. Without a second thought, he's Skyhold.
I think Solus is, honestly, even if I love to hate him, I do still love to hate him. Natalie is literally trying
Before she explodes.
Let's let her speak.
Everyone else should go first.
Okay.
This gonna take a little bit.
Ken, how are you feeling?
I like you said, I think
you gotta put a tier with your thoughts. You gotta put a tier with your thoughts, by the way.
Because I think Solus is that, probably the best, most compelling, at least at where we're at now. Trespasser, they might totally fuck him up in Dragon Age 4, and then we'll have to redact this, or retract this. And I was watching some clips I had saved of Trespasser before we got on this call, and just like that dynamic between him and the Inquisitor, if say that you are like, on speaking terms with him, because you can have a weird thing in Trespasser where if you're not talking, it's just very short, where he's like reached this point of like he didn't even really perceive people as people when he woke up, and when like just through like being an Inquisitor, he's become more, I almost said more human, but he's an elf, like more of a person, and has kind of feels remorse for what he has to do, but still that doesn't stop him from feeling like he has to do it, because he feels like he has to right a wrong that he did to his people. So yeah, as of right now, being September 4th, 2020, before Dragon Age 4 is out, I think Solus is the most compelling villain BioWare has made in the past, one Mass Effect 1 came out 13 years. So,
Josh, how about you?
I mean, I think Solus is one of the most compelling, interesting characters. Any character, I'm a person who likes to ask questions in games. I like to ask every question. He's a character that literally gives you approval for asking him more questions. That alone would put him in the Winter Palace for me. But I think he's an incredible character. The turn of who he actually is in the story, and then everything with Trespasser. As of right now, yeah, same thing as Ken. As of the recording of this, he is a clear Skyhold character for me without another thought.
Ash?
I wanted to romance him, but I was playing a human, so I couldn't, and I was very upset about that because that's how he presented himself to me. I always loved those intellectual characters, and he was like the epitome of that, like intellectuality. If you don't get to romance him, you kind of get locked out a little bit of that warmth that you would have liked to have seen that you do see if you're a Lavellan. If I were a Lavellan, he would be in Skyhold for me, but I want to put him under the fucking jail. So, but I guess because of how he is written and how he is and the way that he heel turns on you, the way that he does, yeah, it is a Skyhold for him, but he goes under the jail. Like when I see him in PA4, I will put him under the jail.
Nat, take it away, I guess.
Let's go.
Well, if you say so. No, okay. Just too many things for me to really get into them right now. I don't know how much time we have, but I know it's not enough time to get into them. So I'm just going to do a lightning round of some bullet points that I got like up in here and up on the screen. So Solus to me is just... So one thing that I've thought a lot about over the years is why do I hate Anders the most? But Solus is literally my favorite character in the series. When a lot of people would argue that both of them are sort of the same kind of character, for me it lies in the complexity behind Solus's writing. I think when we were talking about Anders, I think something that's clear is that he is a more ambitious character than Dragon Age 2 allowed. I think Solus is sort of, he has the space to be as complex as he is. On a superficial level, I absolutely love tragic men. I fucking am trash for like tragic men. I love sad boys. I love like sad plots. And I think, like Ash said, like that warmth that you get with him if you are a Lavellan, a female Lavellan, like it really elevates Dragon Age into... It's really interesting just the way that this character functions and how one character can sort of really radically shape the world of Dragon Age for you. And unfortunately, that's not something that happens with most of the characters, especially because Dragon Age is more focused on the world. Anyway, I have so many thoughts, but basically, I love him. He is Skyhold for me. He is my ultimate, like, video game love of my life. He's ugly, and he's trash. I know these things. I am a Dragon Age 2 defender. I can acknowledge, problematic things when they're in front of me. He's ugly. He's trash. He wants to destroy the world. He has a lot of problems. But he has a lot of problems. But I really love his complexity, and I think he is a character that you can't easily summarize. I don't even know where to start when talking about this character. And for me, characters that are that complex are the most compelling to me, that are really messy, that are really tragic as well. Because there is an undeniable tragic aspect to him, but I think he feels a lot of guilt. I think he's just such an exciting character to watch unfold on the screen, and the way that he shapes the universe. And okay, anyway, Skyholds.
With that, we have our ranking. You can see it on the screen below. I just want to quickly thank my wonderful panelists here. Thank you all for tuning in and helping complete this gargantuan task. In the short time we had allotted, please go follow all of them on their social medias and all that. They're all wonderful people. And thank you to everyone at home. And hopefully we'll have more companions to rank in Dragon Age 4, even more problematic faves to delve into and really put up on the deep roads or in Skyhold. But for now, that's it for us. See y'all later. Have a good PAX.
Bye.